But I'll say one thing about Comey since it came up, because I worked with him. I was U.S. Attorney in New Jersey. Jim was the U.S. Attorney in Manhattan. Then I worked for him when he was Deputy Attorney General. And I will tell you that the scene that happened in 2016 was so patently unfair to Hillary Clinton, first. And secondly, has brought incredible discredit onto the Department of Justice. And as someone who spent 7 years of my career there and loved that department, I feel like I owe my career to the place and that our country owes a great debt to the men and women who serve there. To have Jim Comey, and I thought Michael Horowitz in his report put it exactly correct, insubordinate. To have an FBI director who thinks that he knows better than the rules, he knows better than the law, and he was going to assert himself. And I've been saying this for months, that when the IG report came out, it was going to be really bad for Jim. And all this higher loyalty stuff in his book and the, let me tell you what we used to call him when he was DAG, the U.S. attorneys. We used to call him St. Jim. And the reason we called him St. Jim wasn't because we thought he was St. Jim. It was because he thought he was St. Jim. And I want to say, on a personal level, I really like the guy, and I love his wife, and they have a wonderful family. But he got the Potomac fever, one of the worst cases I've ever seen, and started to believe his own baloney. And when that happens in this town, you are on the way to ruin. And it took longer than I suspected it might, but it's really sad. And I think it's allowed the president to say some really unfortunate things about the Department of Justice, which has really hurt my feelings. But when you look at it, he's been given at least some basis to say some of it. And I was watching the hearing before we came down here today with the new FBI director there. And what a refreshing change. Because this is a guy who you have to literally drag in front of a television camera to get him there. Chris Wray has to be dragged in front of a camera to speak in that way. He knows what his job is, which is to rebuild that organization so that Americans of both stripes and independents have confidence once again in the rank and file in the FBI. And the reason we should is because the men and women who work in the FBI, in my experience, deserve it. They really deserve it.